Caitlin, what value do you feel like you and this team got out of the playoff experience, and what did it to you reveal that you guys need in the future?
Yeah. Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome. I think it gave us a taste of where we wanted to be. At the same time, I felt like we could have done a little bit more to help it get back here for a game 3, and that's what really kind of stunk about the whole thing. But I thought it gave us a taste of where we wanted to be, and that's exactly the message that Chrissy iterated throughout the locker room, and that our coaches kind of iterated when they talked, is just that, you have to let this kind of burn inside of you and let it kind of bother you in a way that it's going to drive you through the off season. How's it going to make you work? You got a taste of getting to the playoffs. Obviously, we haven't been there since 2016. So I think that's what the message was for us, is like, hey, great, we got the 6th seed. Our goal was to get back to the playoffs, but we probably could have given ourselves a little bit better of a chance to try to get it to a game 3 to give our fans an opportunity to cheer us on here at home, and that's kind of what stunk about it. But next year we're wanting to be a top 4 seed. We believe we can build this place into a championship contender. That's what I believe. That's what I'm going to do everything in my power to help this organization get there. But you got to let it, hurt you a little bit and really drive you throughout the offseason.
Go down the line, James and Chloe.
Caitlin, when your head coach came out with a statement today saying she announces all the racism that some people have felt in this league, players, trolls online, all those things, as one of the biggest stars in this league, what are your thoughts on the things not only your teammates have to endure, but just the entire league? And obviously, you spoke on this before, but just now that your coach and your GM are talking about it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely upsetting. I don't think nobody in our league should be facing any sort of racism, hurtful, disrespectful, hateful comments and threats. Those aren't fans, those are trolls, and it's a real disservice to the people in our league, the organization, the WNBA. But there are a lot of really good fans, whether they've been fans for 20 plus years or whether they're new fans in our league. I think continuing to uplift this league in a very positive light is the best thing that we can do, because there are so many great players. There's so many great teams. There are so many positive storylines that can be written and celebrated. And for me, that's why I became a fan of this league, is these people were my idols. I grew up wanting to be like them. So I think continuing to uplift and, represent this league in a positive way is the best thing that we can do.
Go Chloe, then Christine.
Yeah, just with all the success you have this season, just what do you think you need to work on to take that next step going into your second year next year?
Yeah, I think, like I said after we lost, is, I think there's so many ways that I can continue to get better, and I feel like there were so many ways I could have been even better this year, and that's what gets you going and gets you fired up, and you want to continue to keep playing. But at the same time, that's what stinks about the season ending, is I felt like we were really starting to find our groove and really play good basketball, and it feels like that's always kind of how your season ends. You feel like you're playing your best basketball, and then it has to come to an end, and it's kind of just who's playing better basketball at that time and who plays a better game. But I think for myself is just, go back and really reflect on the year that you had and all the amazing moments. But I think, just as a point guard and as a leader, there's in a lot of areas that I can continue to improve. And, I'm a competitor and somebody that loves to work, so it won't be hard for me to want to get in the gym and to get even better and, get better for my teammates, and really know, we're a young group. We have a lot of really talented players on this team, and, we won 20 games this year and we're the 6th seed, but I feel like there's so much more we can accomplish, and, you can always just work for that and remind yourself of that, and that's certainly what I'm going to do going into the offseason.
Go Christine, then Scott.
Caitlin, in the kind of kaleidoscope of memories that we all have of events and years, maybe 20 years from now when you're done, or 25, whatever, what do you think might stand out, positives, even maybe moments like the 2 threes in LA early on? Or for you personally, are there any that you might think of in terms of highlights, showed you belonged, a pass, anything that comes to mind now about this season and what you did in the season? Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's, there were so many moments, and every place we went was so unique, honestly. It's fun to kind of look back. People always ask me, where was your favorite road arena? And I'm like, they're all so different and unique in their own way. And obviously for me, my first year here is like getting to travel to all these new arenas. And there was a few I'd already played at in college, but just doing it as my first time in the WNBA, like those are moments you're going to remember within themselves. And obviously LA was special. The crowd we have there, and obviously I know it's crypto now, but like Staples Center and the Lakers and just, the history that building has. That was my first time ever in the building, and the way we came back and got our first win, and I couldn't buy a basket all night, but then I was able to make 2 at the end, and the locker room was fun after that. I know it was our first win, but it was still special. And then honestly, playing at home in front of, these fans, and the way the young girls just, dangle over the side of the rails and are so happy, and people are crying, and you understand the impact that you're having on people's lives, and that's what's so cool about it for myself. But I feel like there's just so many memories you're going to remember from your rookie year. Like your rookie year is something you're always going to cherish as you go throughout your career. I think it was a huge learning opportunity for myself. I learned a lot about myself as a basketball player, as a person, being resilient when your back's up against the wall, but also really coming into our own and really thriving. And I think, once we figured it out, it was a lot of fun.
The last 2 in the room, then we got another one from Howard, Scott, then Matt.
Caitlin, I know you said you don't feel like a celebrity, but you lived in that spotlight really for the last year. What can you kind of describe what that feels like for you, since we can't experience that? And then also, what do you kind of expect the next several months quietly to feel like as you'll be able to just live?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like everybody's always watching your every move, no matter what you're doing. And I feel like the best thing that I've tried to live by is like to just be the same person that I am off the court, whether I'm, leaving my apartment every single day or whether I'm here sitting in front of all of you. I've tried to approach it in the same exact manner that I can and treat everybody with the same amount of respect that I can, and to try to build really good relationships with people. And obviously some days are going to be tougher than others, and some days are going to be amazing. That's just life. And I would give my parents a lot of credit. I feel like I was raised in a way of like, you want to treat every single person with respect. And I feel like I have a very good feel on, basketball isn't my everything, and that's the way I was raised. Basketball was something I absolutely loved to do, but there was a lot of other things I had to have done in my life, whether it was school, whether it was, emptying the dishwasher or taking out the trash. I had chores, it stunk. And I think there was just things that my parents really invested in making sure that I was a good person before, basketball or sports. And I've just tried to live in that same exact manner, as like, just be a good human. And I think that's what I've tried to, show everybody as well, is like, I try to be the best human I can every day. I try to give people time if I have it. And it can be hard because there are moments where you don't always want to like pose for a picture. You just want to go and get your sandwich and eat your lunch. And but I feel very thankful. I wouldn't change anything for the world. I feel very thankful for the relationships I built, the opportunities that I've had, the way people have supported me, and whether it was at Iowa or whether it's now in the WNBA, they have really, supported me and loved watching me play basketball and watching my teams play basketball. So I think it'll definitely be a little bit of an adjustment period for myself, not really, having to do that so much. I woke up yesterday and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to really do. So it's going to be nice, though, I think, getting out of the spotlight and just getting to live my life and do things that I want to do, and, not have to sit and I love talking to all of you, but it's going to be nice to not have to sit in front of a microphone, multiple times a week. I really appreciate all of you, but it will be nice to kind of get away and relax for a little bit. And I appreciate everything you all do as well, so I thank you.
The last one in the room, Matt, then I think we got the Zoom situation figured out. We'll go to Howard.
Yeah, hi, Caitlin. Even though it's only been a few days for you to start reflecting on your rookie season, was just curious what you think, in hindsight, what got you through the 1-8, debut, welcome to the league, only 20 days in?
Yeah, well, our schedule wasn't the friendliest to start, so it was a tough swing. We had a West Coast trip there early to start. And to be honest, there was a few games I felt we could have definitely won within that stretch as well. And that's what kind of bugged me the most. But I remember saying, I think maybe after game 4, maybe game 5 is like, these lessons are really going to pay off for us in the end when we get down the stretch. And I think they certainly did. I think those were moments where we really built confidence. We got, we were in situations that were tough. We became more resilient. It didn't always go our way, but it helped us become more resilient in the end. And I think, like I've said, I really admire this group, whether it was the coaching staff or whether it was my teammates. Every single day they showed up with a positive attitude. They showed up with the same exact energy. They just wanted to get better. They wanted to help us find a way to win. But they wanted to do it in the right way. And those are the people that you want to be around every single day. So I feel very lucky to have coaches that gave so much, not only to myself, but also to my teammates, and teammates that, not only pushed me to be better, but were also a shoulder to lean on when things were tough. And they made all that a lot easier for myself.
All right, last one. I think we got the Zoom figured out. Howard, do you want to go ahead? Yep.
Yeah.
First one is that there's been so much focus this year on how the larger world, not just the women's basketball world, has been not just paying attention to what you're doing, but celebrating you as a player and how it hasn't phased you. And I wonder how much you think coming from Iowa, coming from a place where girls and women have always been celebrated for what they're doing on the court in these towns across the state, helped prepare you for the kind of attention you had this year.
Yeah. I don't think people always realize the University of Iowa was one of the premier universities in Title IX. Dr. Grant was obviously somebody that was very close to my coach, and Coach Bluter was the one that hired her at Iowa, and she wanted women to have as many opportunities as men. And if it wasn't for her and it wasn't for the way she fought for women's athletics, I'm not sure I would have had that opportunity at Iowa, and I'm not sure, people would have showed up for the women's basketball program in the manner that they did every single night. People don't realize the women's basketball program at Iowa had so many fans before I got there, and then they continued to rally around our teams and celebrate our teams, and they just loved women's basketball and the way it was played and the people on the court. And I think a lot of that has definitely carried over to the WNBA, and now you're seeing it here in Indianapolis with the way our fans have supported and really just been in the stands every single night. Gainbridge has been, packed to the brim. People can't seem to get enough, whether it's a Wednesday in August or whether it's on the weekend in July. Like, people love showing up and watching, and then they find out, they love people on my team. They fall in love with another team and players on a different team, and it's just continuing to help grow this game. And I think, the opportunities that I had at Iowa certainly helped move forward the game of basketball, but also has helped me in the WNBA too.